I don't realize it, but I seem to have gone to pieces. That's a quote from the President of the United States, exhausted from a whirlwind travel schedule, admitting to a close advisor that he's just not all there. But it's not a recent quote, and it's not from President Biden, not yet at least. In September of 1919, President Woodrow Wilson cut short a whistle-stop train tour of the American West, claiming a, quote, nervous reaction in his digestive organs. The real cause, a pre-stroke breakdown that would days later severely paralyze the left side of his body and leave him nearly blind in one eye. For the remainder of his last year in office, Wilson was rarely seen in public, his wife becoming the shadow president. History doesn't quite repeat itself, but it does rhyme. There's no evidence that President Biden is suffering from a similar illness, but his disastrous debate performance last month has much of the country and the world questioning his fitness for a second term at the age of 81. And as the chorus of Democrats calling for him to step aside grows, Biden's days to turn his campaign around are numbered. And while plenty has been said about the national implications of hashtag Biden panic, I want to focus today on the global stakes. And believe me when I tell you, I have never seen America's European allies this scared. U.S. voters may be divided on Trump versus Biden, but most of its European allies are not. They overwhelmingly prefer the old-school, post-World War II world order institutionalist that is President Biden. Trump's unilateralist America First worldview is inherently skeptical of treaties and alliances that undergird the so-called liberal world order. He once called NATO obsolete and more recently suggested that he would allow Russia to invade countries that don't meet spending obligations.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
There's no getting around it. The U.S. election and Biden's recent stumbles are on the minds of every world leader I've talked with here at the NATO summit. So too, Ukraine, whose fate may very well hinge on the U.S. presidential election. Former President Trump has vowed to end the Ukraine war on day one of his presidency. I interpret that promise as essentially letting Putin win. That's an outcome that would have serious security implications, not just for Europe, but for the United States too.